Hi everybody, it's great to be back here again on Itamar. It's Friday. It's windy again. It's almost Shabbat here. We are getting ready for a beautiful Shabbat as always. On the other hand, we have to recall Shabbat Chazon. This week's portion is we read the prophet Isaiah, and of course, if it wasn't Shabbat, we'd be fasting because it is really the ninth of Av, and we're in a period of mourning, of course, over our temple. Interesting, yesterday I had some friends that came to visit, or a couple of days ago, whatever it was. And someone asked me an interesting question. He said, Rabbi, when I pray, it's important for us to have the love of God, fear of God. How do we develop that? That was a question that I was posed. And right away I said, recall the Rambam, Maimonides in his book of Mishneh Torah, which is major halachic work, where he took him 10 years to write the book, 1,000 chapters. He writes all about the Jewish law, halacha, summarizing the oral law. And he has chapters as well as of other areas. And the laws of the foundations, Yisodei Torah, he talks about a meditation, simple meditation. When a person wants to develop his love for God, his fear for God, he just look around him and see the beautiful world that God created, the trees, the wind, the beautiful animals in the world, and he can meditate on how amazing the creations of the universe are. And this could bring a person to realize, fill his heart with, with love of God, with fear of God. Look in the heavens, you see the galaxies, the stars. It's an amazing universe. As science unravels the secrets of this universe, we see more and more how the greatness of the Creator is revealed. We have to just stand with awe, fill ourselves with awe when we look at all this. And this is the Rambam writes, and I've read this many, many times over. But because the question was asked to me, and I said to myself, Moshe, something, this is something that we take for granted. Meditating on the beauty of God. Of course we try. I'm saying we don't try, but as human beings, where our lives are so busy and we get caught up in things, and we don't stop ourselves and really try to meditate on the greatness of God enough. And this is about almost every aspect of our lives, when it relates to spiritual things and how we're supposed to connect to the spiritual side. Our Judaism, our Torah. And this lesson I want to take to Tisha B'Av because it's so connected. Here we are every year, we go through the motions, the routine of the thousands of years we haven't had our temple, unfortunately. Hopefully soon it'll be rebuilt. Especially here in Israel, we have the feeling of, we're there already. I spoke about this last year. We're back in the land, we're back home again, and we're so happy about that. And sometimes we forget that we're still lacking in very important things. The temple was the center of prophecy, and it was the most central part of our lives as the people of Israel. And when we have to fast, and we're in a mourning period, it's not just, going through these motions, but God wants us to really meditate, think about what the temple means to us, and how much it would make the world a better place to live in if the temple was standing. And here in Itamar, with the chickens going co-co-co, and the beautiful air and the beautiful background, and we're in the land, we still have to feel what we need to, what we're lacking, and meditate on that. And this is what Shabbat Chazon, Shabbat where we read Isaiah 1, who talks about the situation of Israel pre-destruction. Of course, it was many years, 150 whatever years before the temple was destroyed. Isaiah was already talking about the atmosphere that was again in the streets of Jerusalem at that time, and Judah, and of course all of Israel, what was going on in Israel before the destruction of the first temple. God always sends us signs and wake-up calls. Today, the wake-up calls we see in many different directions. Number one, we see what's happening, the violence, the Islamic violence taking over the world, the terrorism. And Jews are answering the call. Some of them, I was just in Tel Aviv a couple of days ago, and I saw a huge amount of Jews who moved to Israel from France now because of what's going on. But in reality, these are things that, they're, again, tremendous effect, what goes on in the world, and it's pushing pushing things forward. But we have an opportunity of doing things the way they should be done, and waking up and listening to the sounds of redemption and how we're supposed to move towards that, towards our next stage. And this is what really the fast day is all about. We open our hearts up, and we sit down on the floor and we say, remember the temple and mourn over our temple. We will feel a vacuum in our hearts. We'll feel the need of a tremendous gift of the temple, and it will come down. So we have to believe and feel, meditate on it. This is something very real in our lives. It's not just a myth. I said the story in the past when I was in the States years back on Tisha B'Av. I was on giving lectures, and Tisha B'Av morning we have a custom again of half the day. We stay in the synagogue and we're saying the different keynote mourning over the temple. And I noticed people weren't involved. Their minds were somewhere else, because especially when you're outside of Israel, it's very, very hard to think about. It's not something you can grasp so easily. We have to work on it. You have to focus on it and work on ourselves and feel that we really need this. And how does that happen? When you study about the temple, when you learn about what it was for us as a nation of Israel. When you go to Jerusalem, you stand by the wall. But it's not by standing by the wall, really, right? When you're standing by the wall, that's part of the destruction, because you're seeing how we're not going on top of the Temple Mount. Now there's a great movement of going to the Temple Mount where you're allowed to walk, because it's a serious thing to go into boundaries you're not allowed to go on. And there's a great movement, temple movement, that's trying to awaken the call of returning to the Beit HaMikdash. And of course we know what goes on. We want to go pray in our temple, so we can't pray on the Temple Mount today. So if we get arrested for it, so obviously there's something that has to be rectified. But it's not going to happen when we're sitting away from Israel and we're not involved. People have an opportunity in their lives to make a difference, to move the nation of Israel, and the entire world will benefit, of course. In the greatest way. The world needs the temple. And that's what we have to really make our new slogan. The world needs the temple. The world has seen so much bloodshed and difficult situations. The world can change if we only built our temple. This is really the message of Tisha B'Av. This week we're beginning a new book of the Torah, Parashat Divarim, Deuteronomy, which is all about Moshe Rabbeinu. Before he passes away, he is giving words of reproof to the nation of Israel on one hand, and reviewing the Torah. But as reviewing the Torah over and over again and trying to bring it in our hearts, that is the greatest reproof we can do for ourselves. When we take the message and we go over it and then try to, as we say in Hebrew, lafnim, to internalize what it means to us, and it can make a difference in our lives. And that is the blessing, of course, of every holiday that comes along, or every difficult time that comes. It's a time that we could focus and connect to that very, very powerful message that comes out of that time. Out of destruction. Eventually this day will be a holiday. Of course, Tisha B'Av comes out on Shabbat this year. We don't mourn on Shabbat. And then the sun goes down, we begin by stop eating, and then when the stars come out, we'll begin the actual taking our shoes off, but we will stop eating already at sunset. But on Shabbat is the day of Av, the ninth of Av, the destruction coming in. And on Shabbat we don't mourn, so we have to push it off anyway. But I'm saying this day, this very day of Tisha B'Av, is the day that we can reverse the situation and turn that into a holiday. Eventually, as the prophet says, it will become a holiday when the temple is rebuilt. At that time, when we focus and feel the vacuum that we lack, we can reverse it and become eventually it will turn to be a very, very happy day when we see the rebuilding of our temple. This is the most important message that we have to take to ourselves and take to our heart on this very, very special day. Let us be merit in the building of our temple very, very soon, speedily nowadays, and not just be words, but actions. We can do a lot to further and make this dream a reality if we just get involved, and we do what we can by continuing to build the land of Israel. Don't forget, this was the day that the spies gave an evil report about the land. They didn't want to come. As this portion talks about, Moshe Rabbeinu, in the opening portion of Deuteronomy, talks about the spies again, reminding us that talking evil about the land of Israel, being, what's the word, cold or indifferent, relating to the land of Israel. That's really what the ingredients of exile were all about, and being banished from our land. And that's really what the spies were all about. The most important thing is to talk good about the land of Israel, to be involved, to feel, again, the beauty and the opportunity we have today to make a difference in the history of our nation and of course, of humanity, by being those who were able to push the third temple to its completion. And we're heading towards that time. We have to be happy for that. But we're still not there yet. And therefore, we have this special day, commemorating the temple, to remind us that we have a lot to do. And we have to keep doing it until we reach the time of celebration. And just to end with a note, this week's portion says that Moshe Rabbeinu gave reproof to the people of Israel while they were standing on the Jordan. Now why? When you're standing on the Jordan, the Or Chaim HaKadosh says, that is the time to give reproof to the people of Israel. Why? Because now they see the dream coming true. They see they're going to be entering the land. And now their ears and hearts are open more to give reproof. Same thing today. Here we are in the land. We have the beautiful, tremendous gift here. Look here, Itamar, beautiful community. God gave us this now. And now is the time to remember and hear the call that we still have to go on further and to build the temple. And we have to never forget that that is our final goal. That's the center of prophecy and the center of divine worship that will bring the divine presence again back to the land in its fullest extent. But when Jews are living abroad, they feel they're far away. They don't feel this. So sometimes it's hard to act. Sometimes it's hard to what's the word I'm looking for? To take action. It's hard to act. They can't do anything because they're so frozen in that difficult, depressing state of being outside the land of Israel. And that's why, when I mentioned I was in the synagogue and people's hearts weren't in it, they were listening to the baseball game, whatever it was, and they're talking about baseball. Because they're so far away. But here in Israel, we feel the redemption coming closer. We can really go a step further now and realize that we have to work harder. And now is the time we can hear very loudly and very clearly the words, again, of the special day of building, build, of telling us to go on and reaching out, again, the building of our third temple. But God willing, let it happen soon with our actions. Shabbat Shalom, B'Sarot Tovot, Yeshuot V'Nechama.